Today we are going to be talking about the basic model of principles of microeconomics. So we are going to be exploring the very basic headings. Oh no, man. Sorry about that. Very basic topics, okay, such as the key themes in microeconomics, as well as what is a market and what is the difference between real and nominal prices. Why study microeconomics after all? Okay, so here are some themes in microeconomics. The first theme is that of scarcity, okay, which deals with limits, limited budgets, limited time, limited ability to produce. Okay, now let's start with limited budget. Limited budget refers to limited financial resources. We all know that there is always that limit of the budget because we earn in intervals and we earn a certain amount of money. We don't earn all the money in the world. The fact that it is a certain amount, whether it's 12,000 or it's 150,000 a month, even $1 million, there's still a limit to it. The fact that it's numerically expressed means there's a limit to it. Okay, it's not infinite. And we have limited time. Limited time simply refers to the fact that we have 24 hours a day. 24 hours a day is the limit that we have according to the sun. Okay, the sun rises in the morning and then it goes back down in the evening. That is what sets our time limit. The limited ability to produce. Limited ability to produce refers to the limited capacity of the tools that are available, okay? Not just mechanical tools, but also human tools. The people that operate these mechanical tools have a limited ability or capability, okay? So we are going to explore that further later on in the chapter. Now, the main question is, how do we make the most out of these limits? Okay, how we make the most out of these limits leans directly on the definition of the study, which is based on the purpose of the study. Okay, and that is, this study, economics, is a study which strives to find a balance between limited resources and unlimited needs and wants. Okay, we are trying to convert the resources that we have into the fulfillment of needs and wants. Okay, this is why people start businesses. Businesses start out of need. Okay, so let's say there's a lot of crime in your neighborhood. What do? You start off small, but you start a security company. Okay, that is you taking a bunch of guns, a bunch of people, and a bunch of vans and addressing the crime issue that you have. Okay, so this is you using the vans, the people, and the guns that you have to address crime. Okay, so that is a very basic example of what this concept is all about. So now, this is another big question. How do we allocate these scarce resources? There are many ways of allocating scarce resources, being the market price, which entails simply just selling the resources. So a willing buyer and a willing seller basis, or you can use force. Okay, force is more popular amongst criminals. Criminals use force. When you point a gun at a person and you appropriate their resources in that manner, that is another recognized manner of allocating resources. Okay, and another way is lottery. Lottery is when you simply say to people, pick a bunch of numbers, and whoever picks the correct set of numbers gets the resources. Or maybe you can say, let me base my allocation of resources based on personal traits. Personal traits is mostly can be experienced in marriages, for instance. Okay, this is when a man appropriates a bunch of resources and wants to share them with another person. Okay, with a companion, and people choose who they marry and who they share their resources with on the basis of personal traits. Okay, so we will explore these topics further. Okay, but for now, let's talk about the themes of microeconomics. Okay, so now the first theme that we'll be talking about is workers, firms, and consumers. Okay, now these are the three need satisfying institutions of any economy. okay, let's start off with the workers. The workers come from institutions that are known as households, okay. So later on, we'll convert workers into households, okay, because the households are the institution. And then let's talk about firms. Firms is where the workers go to find jobs in order for them to work and produce stuff, okay. So the firms are the second institution of fulfilling needs in an economy, okay. Now let's talk about the third one, which is consumers. Now I introduced the institution by starting off by talking about workers. Now I'm on consumers. You see, workers and consumers are the same people, okay? They are the households, okay? So when I'm talking about this institution, households, I'm going to be referring to workers and consumers. So you have firms and you have households, and you have people alternating between firms and households and taking on different roles. When they're in firms, they're taking on a role of workers. When they're in households, they're taking on a role of consumers, okay? And so now I want you to think about this, okay? Now let's talk about the trade-offs that have to take place in allocating resources, okay? First of all, we have this one, our first constraint here. We have, do I work or do I go to vacation? So now, what resources are we talking about? Okay, before we said there are limits, okay? When we're talking about limits, we spoke of budgets and we spoke of time. Now, in this instance, we are making a direct reference to time. Do I work or do I go to vacation? Because both the activities require the consumption of time. So now, how do you consume time in a manner that is going to have the most economic proceeds? Do you go to work or do you go to a vacation? The question here can be easily answered depending on what the objective is. Okay, in this instance is to get the most out of it.